Aloha, everyone, and welcome to Aquarian Radio at aquarianradio.com. And I'm your host, Janet Carolessa, with my co-host, Karen Christine Patrick. And this is an episode of Future Trek. Oh, I have to do our intro for Future Trek. I keep forgetting we have a new intro that Karen Patrick created. Sorry about that, Karen. Oops, I got to click you on. There we go.
Oh, maybe I need to find the script and read it again for you.
Yeah, I have it here somewhere. Anyway, let's see. Our guest today is Geraldine Orozco. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and we'll have her correct us in a moment here if that is wrong. And Geraldine, on October 15th of 2013, she experienced a vivid abduction from her bedroom window, where she recounts being taken on board a ship in which she meets tall grays, not the short grays, tall grays, and they show her 8 hybrid children, and they showed her a string of intriguing information. And upon her return, she realized that this experience resulted in hypersensitivity to the human electromagnetic field. And this discovery initiated a journey to find out the truth about what happened. So she reached out to a hypnotherapist to undergo regression, and what she found was way more than she was prepared to learn. Her first hypnotherapy session was in June of 2017 and resulted in the discovery of repeated abductions originating in her childhood. But why were they taking her at such an early age? So she recounts her abductions through her regressions, in which she is surprised with a channeling of information regarding the universe and ancient DNA alterations here on planet Earth that it operate to seize and control the population through a hidden government. Ooh, this will be good. But her journey does not end there. So she underwent a second regression on November 10, 2017, and she traveled deep into the creation of the universe and traced the origins of our human race back to ancient alien races. So diving deep into each abduction in order to understand the reasons behind the hybridization program here on Earth and how they operate among this program among humans. And she, in addition, she learned about her own origins. And she has an ability to see the multidimensional body as an intuitive chronic healer. And she does meditation and ascension coaching, and she works internationally as well as locally in the San Francisco Bay Area. So she has some YouTubes, and I apologize, I was doing everything I can to get her page up on aquarianradio.com, but my website is down. Not a good thing, but we're working on it, and we'll have that back in a day or so. Karen, what would you like to say before we bring on Geraldine?
Oh, wow, I'm really, really excited to hear this story because I got some parallels in my own life, and I know people listening are going to get triggered, hopefully in a positive way, about, kind of what's going on. It's amazing how many conversations I've had in the last week about this concept of an overt, society, science, space program, all of that, and a covert one. And so many people are experiencers of the covert kind of the government style or also the ET question. So bring it on. It's awesome.
Yes. And Geraldine, Karen and I are both experiencers. Karen, we're going to interject some of our stuff as it correlates with yours. But you have some different angles here that I'm delighted to explore. So welcome to our show, Geraldine. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me, Janet and Karen. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're excited to learn more. So I have a question. I have a couple questions. You had 8 hybrid children. Did they ever explain, and you're not that old, right? Did they ever explain how they do that? Yes.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not like you had
absolutely.
pregnancies and had to wait 8, 10, 12 years to have all this stuff. How did they explain that to you? What was going on there?
Okay, so the hybridization program is actually something that's very, very important and something that I really keen on explaining to people about my personal experience and maybe shedding some light on other people that have experienced the same thing. And, of course, you both are experiencers as well. I've actually had a total of 24 hybrid children, and I have been a part of 3 different separate hybridization programs. And throughout those 3 programs and the different sessions, I just received another regression that I have done this last week with the great Misha Johnson. And in that session, yes, it was incredible. Misha's wonderful. I was able to go a little bit. Yeah, she's incredible, and she's also has had, quite a lot of experience as well. So it was great working with her from that perspective. What we went into a little bit deeper was talking about the 3 different hybridization programs and what exactly defines the hybridization program. My thought about the hybridization program was that it was just maybe a couple races manipulating DNA alterations. I mean, honestly, before all of this, I started getting into any of this, literally this year, Janet, I really didn't understand anything at all about the program or what was happening to people or anything. It wasn't until my regression in June where things started to come back, and then the second regression in November that, oh boy, I mean, I literally went through 8 of my different abductions, vividly remembering and recalling how they, inseminated, subtracted, what they did to me. It was very vivid, and that helped me understand many different aspects of what was occurring there. So I'll go into a little bit about the hybridization program. Usually the way it works is, they create an insemination. This can be done either by abducting you, literally taking you out into their ship, and they will inseminate on the ship, or they will also create what they call like a screening, holographic screening of an image of something familiar to you, and they will, create like a, what is it called? But basically you're going to be having intercourse with a being or whatever they are creating with you, and they can screen it so it looks like something that's similar for you. Or interdimensionally, they pull you out and then inseminate in that way. Okay, so those are the 3 ways.
Let me slow down. Let me ask you a question. About insemination. So are they actually taking a sperm of another species? Are they taking out your egg? And, I was part of the, I was trying to get pregnant on human terms, right? I couldn't conceive. Yeah. They would take my egg out, and then they would mix it in a Petri dish with the sperm, and then they would put the fertilized egg back in. Then there's insemination. From what I understand, insemination is actually just vaginally injecting sperm. But what do you mean by insemination in terms of the extraterrestrials? Are they taking sperm from other extraterrestrials, and are these strictly grays, or are they reptilians, or what species are they breeding you with? Let's break this down. What species are they breeding you with?
Awesome question. First of all, absolutely. When I'm talking about insemination, I'm literally talking about them inserting the I guess what we know as semen, right, into the body, and actually inseminating inside of the womb of a female, of myself, okay? And they've done it different ways. It's been done through inserting some kind of a machine, like a mechanical, like a mechanical arm, and then it would inseminate inside of the body, and that has happened a couple times. And that then
is that a vaginal insemination, or do they go through your uterine wall? Vaginal. Okay.
This is vaginal.
Okay.
And the way that it works is that they will do that. Now talking about the DNA. Now this is a very complex thing, and I really just now became aware of how this works based on the experience and based on the information that I received from the regression recently, is that the way that they do it is that they are really mixing several different kinds of alien races. It's not just one. Depending on what kind of agenda they are working on, it'll be a combination of alien races. But what we have to understand is, Well, let me start here. First of all, I was part of 3 different hybridization programs. Number 1, with the Pleiadians. And with the Pleiadians, I had 8 children, which are, publicly visible. Like, I have that on my YouTube channel and everything to show them what I saw. And I was able to see 4 of those 8 children in person. And they were beautiful, whatever you want, all of those, incredible images of those children with big eyes, with beautiful faces. And from those children, one of them was more reptilian type. So what does that tell you? That tells you a couple of things. Number 1, that even within the Pleiadian agenda, we're not just talking about a certain DNA which links to a very specific race. And we define maybe the Pleiadians as these beautiful Nordic beings, but truly the Pleiadians also have mixed DNA with many other races. So you can have reptilians, you can have grays within the Pleiadian race. And that's what I've seen amongst many different regressions that I've done now. Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you something on that, okay? I like to slow things down.
Sure.
Semen is typically something that comes from one person, like one male. But you could have like an admixture of DNA, which within the DNA they can, it's more like genetic manipulation. And in the genetic manipulation, they can enhance or add DNA from other species, just like we're doing now. Humans are doing this in our own labs. We're mixing the DNA from a cat with something like a glowworm, and then the cat glows, right? So they have that ability. So you're saying that anyway, so how do you know exactly what they're doing? You're receiving some kind of mixture vaginally. Mm-hmm. How do you know what they're doing? If they're doing strict semen that they retrieve from something else. I've heard of experiencers, mm-hmm. They took a cow, and they took a human and they inseminated the cow with human DNA. I don't know what they were doing, but there's been these horror stories, right? How do you know what they're inseminating? Because I've had this happen to me where I was mm-hmm. Copulating with a being I'd never mm-hmm. heard of before. It had a very strange penis. But then there's mm-hmm. sometimes you receive the child and it's through, some kind of, they disinserted into your uterus, or I don't think that I was getting the vaginal insemination much like you're talking about. It was more something mm-hmm. else was going on. So, but the vaginal insemination, do you think it was pure from another species, like direct, like I don't know, in the other room they had somebody, they were taking their semen and then they brought it over to your room and put it in? Or do you think that they mixed it up with other things before they inserted it into you vaginally?
Yes, I have experienced the 2 different kinds. The number 1 where they actually modified the DNA, let's say like they did on a petri dish, and then inseminate that egg into the body for it to incubate for a week or for a couple of weeks, and then remove the fetus when it's ready to be removed. So I've been part of that one.
Right.
I've also been a part of them having been made to copulate with another man, or which looked like a man, but it was actually a screen image of an extraterrestrial or an AI of some sort. But that experience was made very vivid to me during the regression. So that was one way of them doing it. And another way of them doing it was with a second hybridization program that I was part of, which seems to be a part of a reptilian program that was, they are called a mother reptilian race, which are one of the oldest reptilian races in our, matrix galaxy creation that we have, that we are living in. And with that specific one, they had inserted intravenous and through the body some kind of a bodysuit inside that kind of encloses what they are going to insert into the body to create the child, to incubate. And it's because the vibration of that creation that they're putting inside of you is at a much different vibration than you are humanly capable of sustaining. So that was another way. I don't know if you're familiar, if you've heard of that. But that was something that I experienced both physically because I became extremely sick. Yes.
So they put it intravenous, so that means into your bloodline, into your bloodstream.
Correct. They put
okay.
Yes. What they put was actually some kind of a gooey substance inside of the body that created like a bodysuit inside of the body, and then that covering and that coating my entire uterus, I'm not sure like how far the body extends that substance that they put in, but all the way up into the center of my chest and down over my uterus, my stomach, all my organs, coating everything to protect and maintain the vibration of those organs at a certain level so that I can incubate the what is it called, the DNA fetus or child that they're going to inseminate inside of me.
That sounds something like Joanne Richard describes. They have a breeding program with the Velociraptor type. They look like dinosaurs, and they're actually very highly intelligent. And so a human can bear this little dinosaur child, and actually there are some humans are kind of married to this dinosaur king, Velociraptor type being, and he has both human wives, and he's more like a what do you call it? Not monogamous. He has many wives, right? And some of his are human, some of his are dinosaurs. But the human women, when they give birth, the child looks like the dinosaur, the version, but it does have within it human DNA. So it's a hybrid. But
correct.
Sometimes the resemblance is dominant to one or the other, So a human woman can have a dinosaur child, but it's got human DNA, but it looks just like the father. No resemblance to her at all. Yeah.
It sounds fantastic. Trust me, I know. And to be honest, these are 9 that I have not looked at. 9 children I've had in this agenda, in this specific agenda, and I was not able to see them in regression at all. I wasn't able to see those 2 other ones. And during this last regression, I was told that, or I saw that because they're creations that we could not possibly comprehend. That's all I know. So if you've heard of it being with a dinosaur type of race, I mean, maybe that's something similar to what I was in. But I did not see them, or what they look like. I just know
they're just using the human womb to carry their species. But it's impossible when you have something that you're growing, since you're sharing a central bloodstream, right? Then the child gets mitochondrial DNA. It always gets some mitochondrial DNA from the host, the mother, that's bearing the child. So it becomes more human-like, I guess, because it's carried by, and also there's an exchange of DNA through nursing, apparently. So that's one of the things the gods, he said, it was a great honor if you were nursed at the breast of a goddess, a female god, because somehow you received some of her DNA. Okay, so this is fascinating. Thank you for slowing it down and allowing me to ask questions, because I've heard thousands of stories. So you had the first program was the Pleiadian, and they're humanoid, but
they are humanoids. Yes.
But they even have some reptilian. So they have some hybrid, first generation hybrid. Let's just say that, and then they come in and have children with humans. So that's another injection of humanoid type DNA. Okay, so what's the third program?
So the third program was with another reptilian agenda, but this reptilian was a different vibration. And this reptilian was made to create some kind of what we want to call it, like for example, on Earth we have heard of people mixing with military hybridization programs to create, MyLab and altered humans that kind of carry out very specific agendas within our government and our creation here. But what I was involved in, the third one, was with the reptilians that were creating something similar to my lab, like a product of what my lab would create here on this planet. But in order to carry out agendas on this planet and other planets in which they are absorbing the energy of the human soul. And so this brings me to another very complex thing, an aspect about the whole DNA structure of this and what they're doing. Okay, I mean, the whole point of the hybridization program, from what I have seen, what I've experienced, and what I understand, is that, number one, the human soul is a very interesting essence of source creation, source essence. And because it's an essence of source, it is a creative force. It's an expansive creative force, okay? What it looks like is that it seems to be almost like there is two dualities in the existence of our creation. One is source, and the other is like a matrix galaxy, matrix universe in which we're living in right now, okay? And that being said, we can go into it deeper, and we will, but this matrix galaxy that we are living in is made up of AI as well as beings that do not have that creative source essence as a soul. And this is why it seems that they are trying to create these many complex hybridization programs to take that DNA, because DNA is so incredibly important, and it was shown to me as if it was almost like a currency. It's almost like a universal galactic currency at this point because of the information that it holds. And that is the whole point of them creating these hybridization programs, because they're blending not just races but information. And so they create these cocktails of DNA, which include many different lineages, many different, races, in order to create or follow through with the specific agenda that they're creating. So
we got to break down and decipher a little bit. That was a huge amount of information there. So, wow. Okay, so because a lot of people are afraid of AI, and I just, my husband and I, when we talk about AI, we're neutral. We're actually, I'm kind of very interested. So I'm drawn to explore the issue of AI. I watch things like Sophia, they're developing Sophia, and she's a handsome robot, and there's a show called The Humans 2.0 or something. And so I'm very curious about it and relaxed, because I know it already exists, and AI is out there, and it runs a lot of things, and it's just part of the totality of existence. But you're saying that it's like a currency that has extreme value. There are some species that do not have what humans have, and that is why humans are so valuable. We think that we're just whatever, but we're actually extremely valuable, and that's why they perceive us as an asset, a resource, a commodity. Is that what you're getting?
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly.
So,
it really is just like that. Yes, it is. And so, I mean, we have to think about a more grander scale, because for us, we of course we only have the visibility of this, let's say the holographic matrix world that we live in, but we live in a multidimensional universe, and the same thing that's occurring here on this planet is occurring on many different planets throughout the galaxy. And within those galaxies, there is humans with a source soul essence, which are undergoing the exact same things that we are here. So, it's a very expansive kind of thing that we're talking about here.
Right. So there's, however, in the whole grand design, for some reason, the Gaia project, as it's known, is extremely important, because they're creating some kind of, it sounds like what you said, a cocktail of DNA. They're creating a cocktail of consciousness that comes from that continual birth, life, death the reincarnation process being locked in a paradigm that we are short-lived, even though we're eternal beings. There's something about the brevity and condensing it into this belief structure that, yeah, we're going to die, and because life is short, if you're going to create, you have to do it in a short time span. Like if you want to have children in the current paradigm, you better do it before you're 50, because you're less likely, or even before you're 40, because it's going to be unlikely that you can, have a child, not the natural way, right? Okay, so that's
right.
So what else would you like to see about this cocktail of DNA? I got stuck on that word.
Yeah.
What do you mean by cocktail of DNA?
Yeah, so the cocktail of DNA refers to the different races that they are trying to combine, and what that means is the different information that they're trying to combine. What I saw in my regression is that DNA is, the way I see it is like this: the soul source, the source soul comes into the human body with information from all of the, let's say, lifetimes that they've had, all those experiences. All that information comes into the human body, and then gives information into the blood, and is organized within categories of the chakra system, which is our, are you familiar with the chakra system in the human body?
Very much so, yeah. I'm a Tantra teacher.
Yeah,
so the chakra
fantastic.
system, yeah.
So you're familiar. And so all this information that comes in from the blood is then organized in the chakra system. And that is how we are, very, very, we are kind of defined within our perceptions, within what we're doing, and our network, which is our DNA network, which is our families and the people that we know and all the people that we have contractual agreements here on this planet. So all of those things are actually very connected. And all that information that comes into the human is important, but it's important within this matrix reality of the planet that we are currently cycling through. Okay, and then that will bring me to a whole other thing that I'm going to get into that. So regarding the DNA cocktail.
Hold on 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has some mic that's feeding back. I'm not sure who has that. I turned my computer all the way off because I called into the show on my cell phone. So but I'm still getting feedback. Are you getting feedback?
I hear the feedback, yes. But I can hear it, but I don't have. Yeah, I don't have my computer on or anything, so.
Okay, somewhere else. All right, so we'll continue.
It must be somewhere else.
So, let me ask Karen real quick. Do you have any comments or questions before we go to the next section?
Oh, no, my comment would be that a couple of years ago, and going through what is going on with this hybrid program, is I was told that DNA is the coin of the realm. And it seemed like this week, in relation to studying the monetary system and kind of backing out from a planetary point of view, I keep getting the message, we are the value, we are the value, we are the value, in the sense that we have like a war between like fiat currency, which is based on, fractal banking. We have the gold standard where we went off of. We've got all these other precious metals and other things backing up different types of currencies, and we now have the cryptocurrency. And all of them are to create an artificial scarcity, when really the value is us. We are the value. In other words, even in our fiat currency system, our other monetary systems, it is our belief in it, it is our investment in it, putting our life energy into it that actually makes it real. And so, I just have to say I really concur with that statement, that it is us. It is the essence of us, and we are an expression of our mitochondrial DNA that goes back millions of years. So and DNA holds a tremendous amount of data in it. So, there's a lot going on. So go ahead.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, thank you for saying that. We honestly, and I think now we are just now going to start understanding. For me, my biggest thing and my biggest message to give out, if you take anything away from this, is to understand the connection between the human body, the spiritual evolution of the human body, and how it relates to the global, universal, galactic shift that we're going to, because everything is connected. And it's like you can't go from one end to another without having crossed those three parts of the self. It's like the three aspects of the self are so important. And I think now we are coming into a unification of those three, information points. Mm-hmm.
So what were the three information points? I'm sorry, my neighbor got a new motorcycle, and I can't hear anything but the motorcycle.
Oh.
Say the three information points again.
Yes.
Hold on. Hang on. Okay, somebody's calling. Go ahead. The three information points are...
Yeah, so we need to link the the spirituality of the human, the spiritual progression of the human, and understand our human body and how it works. And we need to connect that with the overall galactic understanding of how everything works, okay, because everything is connected. Yeah.
Right. And part of that information, if you've ever read the... Oh, God. Go to the voicemail. If you've ever read the Dr. Michael Newton Institute information on where we are between lives, right? So they have 40,000 regressions that are recorded that document where we are. So we're a symbiotic creature. We have our spiritual essence and our body. Our body is actually a different... It's like we're in this co-creative arrangement with the body. But you're saying there's the galactic level too? Is that what you're saying?
Well, within within this realm, we have our higher self, our physical self, and then the multidimensional body. Those are the three aspects of the human. But I'm talking about merging the information of understanding how the human body works and what's the importance of the spiritual evolution in that human body in the matrix reality, and understanding how that connects to everything on a universal standpoint.
Okay. Okay, so I'm sorry, I had somebody that was very persistent, and I finally got them off of my back here. So this universal perspective, go ahead, elaborate on that. I finally got rid of it. Go ahead.
Okay, so, when we talk about the universal perspective, I'm really, just to put it in layman's terms, I'm talking about understanding that there are many other races right now, and just the way we are going through a certain ascension, reincarnation cycle, other races in the universe, other alien races in the universe are actually going through the exact same thing right now. And there seems to be some sort of ascension cycle which they are on too. But it's not to confuse the difference between the human soul, the source soul, and AI and other alien races which have a different kind of soul, a different kind of essence. And that soul and that essence, if it was shown to me, is actually a combination of something that we know as goo, which is artificial intelligence, which originates from each planet. And it's something that every single planet contains its own specific artificial intelligence and substance. And these beings, these races, seem to embody this kind of goo, and it works like a soul, like a source soul for them. And that is like an antenna of information. What I saw is that the sun is what gives life force to everything within a certain galaxy. So, for example, we have our sun in our galactic, in our galaxy, and then you go to another galaxy, and then you have another sun there. I even saw the Pleiadians from their constellation have a different source of energy there. And let's say their color is blue. The essence of their goo is blue. So that serves as an antenna and receives information from the sun of that system. And each system has its own sun, which gives off information. And this goo is what absorbs that information for them. Okay, so I know that's a lot to think about, but that would be the difference between,
So aren't most systems binary? There would be two suns?
I'm sorry, did you say our system is binary?
Yes, most solar systems are binary, two suns. And so that there's a whole story about Nemesis, or the red brown dwarf, that Solaris actually has Nemesis as its twin, and so there's a twinning process that goes on within the universe, like the galaxies are kind of twins. There's the masculine and feminine of each galaxy. So we're twins with the Milky Way is twins with the Andromedan galaxy. Solaris is twinned with the Earth as the first offshoot, and so on and so forth. So, and then of course, what color is our goo? Because the Battle of Granada, according to Alfred Weber, was because it was black goo underneath Granada back in the 80s. They had that big attack. What color is the goo of the Earth? Is that our indigenous goo, or is that an invasive goo?
Well, that's an awesome question, and there's two things to that. That seems to be what seems to be an invasive goo, because the different races. Because this planet, first of all, it has different dimensions. Okay, every single vibrational pulse, the way that the world looks, it's like it's constantly vibrating, and every single one of those vibrations that it has is actually a different dimension. And that being said, within the transformation and the timeline of the Earth's progression, since the beginning of time, I mean, many different races have come in here, but what seems to have occurred is that there are Earth-dwelling races, and one of the races that I saw was a red blood race that dwells within our planet Earth, which seem to be the creators of a matrix. They are the ones that build matrix realities. So everything that you see, they manage the minerals, everything. And so they seem to be the ones working with that red bloodline, and they manipulate the black goo in order to manage and expand the matrix reality on the planet. Okay, so
what do they
that
look
is what
like?
I saw
their blood is red. What's their form look like?
What I saw them to look like was they're reptoid type of beings, but they are shorter, a little bit rounder. They have they have tails, and they have ears. They have little pointy ears, literally. And I saw it 3 times in the sessions that I have had a chance to take a look at this information. And the 3 times that I saw them, they look like that. They have tails. And, of course, they were defined to me as a certain name, but that name would be quite controversial for us because, we don't want to confuse it with anyone that we believe here as a race or religion of any type. But they are said to be the ones that create. Well, we won't. It's quite controversial. We don't want to say that
because
I think,
me now. Well, remember when I was a kid, there was a show called The Land of the Lost, and they went into the earth and they found the indigenous reptilian race. They called them Slee Stack. And if you've ever watched that children's show, where they somehow went through the interdimensional portal and they were in it. So there appears to be an indigenous reptilian race, but then there's also external reptilian races. It's a very complex universe, apparently. But I don't understand what would be so controversial. Well, we're going to meet soon, so you have to come over and tell me, because
I will tell you. I will tell you, but
crazy. What could be that controversial?
Well, I will say this, Janet. They have red DNA. They're hybrid reptilians. They created the physical matrix. They manage all natural resources on the planet, and they manage a large percent of the financial institutions on Earth. And they are the ones that create and, manage and monopolize the government. Okay. Now, within the
are you going to call them the Illuminati or something, or the?
No,
she's persistent.
I will tell you. I will. And I'm writing a book about this, so it will come out in a book. That way people can take time to read and understand fully what it means, okay? But the thing is that this race is actually enslaved by the master reptilian race, which actually seems to be the one that is managing what we believe as our hidden government that's above everything that's managing right now, the government. So that's what I saw recently, which was interesting.
The master reptilian race. Who's the master reptilian race?
So
you have this reptilian race that's being enslaved by another race.
Correct.
Right? And
right.
Who's the master reptilian race?
So the master reptilian race seems to be the oldest race in the universe. Okay, and they operate. It's an expansive race, and they operate to feed off the soul source that humans have and that humans give off. So they have a very large agenda on many different planets in which they are enslaving and creating these matrix realities from which we are reincarnating in constantly. Okay, it's almost as if we are in some sort of let's say a soul trap. And it's very interesting, but this goes all the way back to the very beginning of time when we're talking about the Anunnakis and the Nephilim that came into the planet way back when. The first part of my regression, Janet, I was actually walking down the streets of Jordan, and I walk into Petra, and the first thing I see is this magnificent giant golden sun, and this sun was alive, and I really don't know how to express to you how alive it was, but it's a bubbling source of energy that was gold mixed with literally souls. I don't know if you can even possibly imagine how that would be, but it was magnificent. And as I am looking at this sun here in my regression, I look and I see a tall, dark being that resembles Horus, or like this bird-like facial features, like an Anunnaki. And he was working with the Nephilim at that time, okay? And they come in to alter DNA here on the planet as they recycle souls, okay? So this orb of energy, which is a combination, and of course, if we look back at the ancient text of you're looking at the Emerald Tablets, the Book of Enki, all of that. I mean, we talk about the ancient literatures that talk about these races that come into the planet and breed with humans. Right. And literally, this is what's being shown to me here on this regression. And further, they showed me these black boxes, which were, like, for example, the boxes that the Kaaba, where the Muslims actually rotate around this beautiful Kaaba, this square structure. And inside there is said to be a black rock, which was shown to me as this life force that is absorbing the energy of all who revolve and rotate around this incredible energy source, okay? And it's almost like a contractual agreement of energy that's occurring here. Now, that blew my mind. So I went in to do a little bit more research about what was occurring there and trying to link the dots to what I was shown in my regression. And what I found was, around the entire world, we have traces of the Anunnakis, which are holding these magnificent little black purses, which they call the Anunnaki purses, which is funny. But, some people talk about those little black boxes being, like life supporters for them. And what I saw in my regression is that these black boxes actually hold this life force substance, which is goo, and at the same time, it's that combination of the monoatomic gold and this life, the source souls. Okay, so I know, but after doing more research about this,
this is good because we've written, my husband and I have written 4 books on the Anunnaki, so we're going to be talking about this. we're gonna be meeting at the conference, and we're also going to be at Lorient's conference. But we've often wondered what's in those little purses they're carrying around, you know, and that's an interesting concept. I want to go back. So there's this black goo that's invasive. What is the indigenous glue of the earth? And I was having a conversation this morning. Is the earth green, like chlorophyll, the life? And the black is like the invasive, or what is the natural goo color of the earth?
Yes,
you know that,
I believe it's green. I believe it's green as well, and that's actually what I saw it as. Because we look at the other Middle Earth races that we have also seen, and I know that there's many other races that live within the Middle Earth. I mean, we have the Agarthans, we have many, many different races that live within them, and they are said to work with a lot of green energy, green earth energy. And it seems like water is like the blood of earth, because it's just like blood, it records information. You know, water records information. So it's almost as if it's that green and clear liquid, which is water, that is on this planet. So, I mean, that's what I saw, and I know that the black goo isn't invasive, because it's almost like its own AI that is brought into this planet in order to, you know, to come into the humans and manipulate. And it goes even further. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in a second, because I saw more about that within this recent regression that I saw. But I want to finish really quickly about these purses, which is very interesting.
Okay.
And I know, if you wrote about this, I'm sure you know, but I noticed that actually you can find this everywhere around the world, these little purses. I mean, we see it even in Bolivia, which is my country, Bolivia. We have the South Sea Islands, India, Persia, Greece, in the Mayan cultures, in the Inez cultures, in Egypt, in Syria, in the Sumer cultures. We're finding these sculptures and drawings of the Anunnakis holding these little boxes, okay? So, and of course they write about that in the tablets of Gilgamesh as well. So it was very, very interesting to understand the dynamic and between this black boxes with the Muslim religion, which is very open for us to see that the whole race, the religion, they are made to rotate around that box. And what I saw in the regression was literally like energy being brought into that box and send out also to the people around them, like interaction, like a contractual agreement between humans and this energy source. Okay, so that was mind-blowing to see. But the next thing that they showed me was a triangle ship, Janet, a triangle ship that came to the sun. And when it came to the sun, and I think this was in 2014 and 2012, a couple times we actually have pictures of triangle triangle ships being shot next to a sun. And what I saw is that they are. Yes, I know. And I actually, after my regression, I did research and I saw exactly the picture that I was shown in my regression. And what they are doing is they are inserting the DNA alterations into the sun. They insert vibrational information in order to shift the vibration of the sun. And as we know, the sun is what gives information to all beings within this galaxy. So they are altering and changing the vibration that comes off the sun. So that was another important part that I saw there.
So is that a good thing or a bad thing? Are they changing it for their negative agenda or positive agenda?
Well, it's for their agenda in order to feed off humans, which are entrapped in this kind of soul reincarnation cycle that we have. And and the whole purpose of that soul reincarnation cycle is in order to feed off of a couple things, our lower vibration, our emotions in general, the lower vibration emotions, and also, high emotions which are often based off lower vibrations, okay? And I know that sounds like a complicated thing, but the whole point in this matrix holographic reality that we live in, everything that is around us is made to numb down the collective consciousness of humans here on this planet. And I saw that it goes as far as the pharmaceutical industry. We're talking about our food. We're talking about our religions that we have here. And what it came to the conclusion is that they actually have 3 different ways that they are dominating our human race. Number 1, they create hybridization programs to create mind-controlled warfare weapons to manipulate the government, as they did back in Egypt for centuries. And 2, they are creating illnesses to control mass populations, DNA alterations, and numbing of the pure consciousness, the soul source, which is known as, as which they know that humans can escape from. But we'll get into that in a minute. And 3, they created religions based on their ancient pagan satanic Babylonian rituals in order to numb down the human spiritual progression and source ascension. Okay.
Okay. So let me go back. Number 1. Let's say this again because that was very quick. Number 1 is
they create the hybridization program. And so the hybridization program is to dilute that soul source essence DNA information. Okay, they are diluting. They are taking information from there. Since they do not have the ability to create and procreate like humans do, they create these massive agendas throughout many different races, which to take from this soul source. Okay, and number 2, the illnesses, yes, and 3 with religion, and of course all of these are the 3 main ways that they control and dominate humans on this planet.
Well, I think the religions are and also the countries, the subdivision of our world into these subsections, species against, or race against race, religion against religion, and countries against countries, are all designed to divide and conquer and to keep us separate and from figuring it out and coming into oneness and universal consciousness.
Yeah, absolutely, Janet. And if we really take a good look at it, I mean, we're talking about many different levels of separation that they want to create. Races, money, culture, everything, education. It's like layer after layer of separation so people can become more entrapped in their own illusion of limitation. So, that's why a lot of spiritualists, people that are coming into this understanding of what's happening are talking about unity and community and all that stuff. But we gotta understand the back end of it so we understand number 1, the urgency of what's occurring, and number 2, so we understand really the reality, the bigger picture, behind all of this. I think that's why it's important to link all of these informations and understand what is the next step and who you're supporting, because with each dollar that you spend, you are supporting certain agendas in the world around you, and so that's important, and that's why we're talking about a collective awakening, a collective shift on many dimensions, not just one. That's the thing.
Okay, so let's break that down because you just said a lot of words, and we got to break that down a little bit. I just wanted to add that there's a wonderful YouTube, an alien interview that came out. It was done in '64. This aliens being, but he said basically the one thing stuck out is that what we can't understand is that there's only one life. At the highest level of existence, there is universal consciousness, all source. And that this is the grand illusion is that we are having separate lives. But at the highest level, this is one continuous life with the perception of different beings and different essences and different everything. So it's self and apparent other, but it's all we're making this all up. We're all making this all up. That's why we can get out of it. We can realize, we're doing this. But most of us are deep in this matrix, and we're going, what is that? Okay, so let's talk about the urgency. We talked about the religions and how they divide and conquer. Tell me about the urgency. Why is this so urgent? What makes it so urgent?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. The way it actually looks like, and what I saw in the recent regression this last week with Nisha, is that we are going through this reincarnation cycle. And at first, we hear so many people talking about, but we have free will to choose our lives, to choose, who we're going to live with, what kind of life, what kind of parents we're going to have, what kind of lessons we're going to learn in this lifetime. And that's all very, romantic and cute, but what does that actually mean? I mean, do we really know what that means to have free will when we come into the reincarnation cycle? And what I saw was that as we are cycling through, it's almost as if we are in a glass of water, okay? And when we are underwater, that is the time when we are outside of the matrix, choosing our life to come back into the reincarnation cycle, okay? I want to make that clear. Outside of the physical matrix, the earth matrix, okay, because there's all these levels, okay, so the earth matrix. And when we are out within that, we are choosing our network, we are choosing our lessons, our lifelines, all that stuff. And then we go back into this life, and coming into this life is almost like being outside of the water now. Now you're circling above the water, and you have 100 years in order to live that life that you chose. Now, that is actually the only time you actually have any free will whatsoever, because during that time you have a choice to, let's say, wake up, to raise your consciousness, to understand what's happening, to educate yourself, to look around, to see beyond the matrix, and to really wake up and do the work that's necessary in order to cleanse all the information that you have acquired from all the illusionary lifetimes that you've lived here on this planet. Okay, and maybe other planets as well, because we're all going through the same thing. So the urgency lies in understanding that all of these shifts that they're creating, the government, the dark government, this master race reptilian that I saw that was behind our government, shifting and pulling in. And another interesting thing that I saw is that they are working with CERN in Geneva. Do you know about CERN?
Oh, yes, CERN, in Geneva. And there's apparently more than one location where they have the CERN equipment, but that's the most well-known. Yeah, go ahead.
You got it. And all of these are working together, Janet, and I saw that they are working together, opening these portals of energy where they are bringing in more of this AI that's coming in to shift timelines here on the planet. So the way that I saw it is that the world vibrates on this trajectory that looks like an infinity cycle. And right now we are supposedly going in from the fourth dimension into the fifth dimension. And the way that this is happening here on our reality, it's happening on many other dimensions. Let's say another planet is going through 15th to the 16th dimension. But the entire universe is shifting in dimension right now. And what that means is that we are entering the middle cycle of this trajectory. And as we go towards the middle, the vibration of the planet is going higher and higher. And that's why it seems that time is speeding up. It's been feeling that way for the past, 10 years or so. But it feels like time is speeding up. Yeah, and it actually is. It actually is. And at the same time, what they're doing with these machines and with these timeline shifters is in order to slow down or to create more mass eliminations. I'm going to have to say that word, mass eliminations, in order to take as many people out of the cycle, the reincarnation cycle, and put them back in. Because if you understand how the soul travels...
You just lost me there. Okay, so they're the timeline, mass elimination, something you're taking a big bowel movement, but mass elimination of souls, of individual souls?
Correct. Yes, and the whole point of that, Janet, is to take them out of this moment right now, vibrationally, that we are going through, which is raising the vibration of the collective consciousness and the information that's coming in from other agendas that are here to help us understand what's occurring around us. Okay, on some level, they are assisting us in waking up in this collective consciousness that we're going through. And the whole point is to eliminate and
so
control those timelines.
Who's trying to take these people out? These are souls. So this has been a closed system for a long time. And this is talked about in a number of books like the Gaia Project. But they thought they were opening this up and unleashing this kind of well of souls so they could go back to from whence they came at 2012. But apparently that was not quite the right, or maybe the process began. So who is trying to take them out of this collective consciousness? Is that reptilians?
Correct. The master reptilian race is what manages and is infiltrated in our government here on this planet, okay? And there's many contractual agreements with three main bloodlines, which are the reptilian race, the Pleiadians, and also the inner earth race, which is the red bloodline. These three are the ones that originated the entire civilizations through our history here on this planet since Mesopotamia, okay? And so all of these agendas that are being created to assist in the hybridization program of humans and in the constant entrapment of the souls within this reincarnation cycle, it is coming to a time as we are shifting vibrationally.
This was laid out. What you're describing, there's a book called Alien Interview with Errol the Grey. The one was captured live from Roswell. There's a whole series of YouTubes and videos, and Lawrence Spencer wrote. He didn't write the book; he compiled the book. And so the Greys have 1,000 of their souls trapped in this cycle. So they've been wanting to get to the core of how because they're a collective consciousness, right? When they are missing 1,000 souls from their collective, that's very painful for them because they feel incomplete. So they've been trying to get their people out of this cycle. So they talk about it, they recognize it, it's been in place. That's why this is a prison planet. And what you're describing is like a prison planet. But there are beings outside of all this that are looking down at this system. And I sometimes find myself in those meetings looking at this subsector of creation and this little, it's like a Botany Bay colony that the souls within them, and I'm one of them right now. You know, I've sent a thread of my consciousness down and I am in this, but they're being quarantined and confined and subjected to this, seems like very hideous, heinous cycle. But it's part of the polarity of existence, and without the negative, you can't really accelerate the positive because we created this polarity operating system for all of existence, which is playing itself out. And I think what you're describing is we're coming to the end of this, but there's some people, you're saying that this original master reptilian race doesn't want it to end. And they're in with the red bloodline and the Pleiadians. Not all Pleiadians, right? Aren't some of the Pleiadians good people? Or what?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, well, when we talk about alien races, we're not talking about, like, Pleiadians, okay, full stop. Reptilians, okay, full stop. I mean, we got to understand that alien races are just like humans, you know. There's many different kinds of people in the world. There's many different kinds of Pleiadians in their race. So not everyone's good and bad. I mean, everyone has the duality. There's a duality in everything. And, of course, there's no good and bad. There is no good and bad. It's just, you know, the cause and the reaction of how things are occurring right now. That's the truth. There is absolutely no good and bad. Right, but what we're looking at here is the importance of leaving the reincarnation cycle, because that's the reality that we seem to be, or the perceived reality that we seem to be in right now on this planet. And the whole point of leaving the reincarnation cycle is in order to not be in that constant, cycle of living. Instead, the whole idea is to raise your vibration to the highest vibration of your own soul essence and hopefully return up to source, which is where you originated from. Or at that point, have a choice of whether you want to come back, and then you are, I don't know, on the council, the council of people here that are helping
Right.
People
So what
progress.
I've done,
and
yeah. What I've managed to do, you mentioned going back to source, and I just want to put this out there because I'm not special. We're all equal. Just so that we're all
Correct.
equal. And if
course,
I can do it, you can do it too. But I have managed within my own work and my own regressions and my whatever it is I'm doing on a soul level, I've managed to get all the way out, all the way up to the highest level of existence, to universal consciousness, source and oneness, and high five, so to speak, with that that oneness, that point, that singularity of this entire, whatever this is, a series of multi-universes, actually, many universes in a collective, we're in a system here. So, and then I'm back here, and I went, oh my God, I did it, and I woke up sobbing. So, and I've integrated that because you got to get over yourself. I'm just a human being right now. I'm here. My point of consciousness is down here, and that's the whole point. Is you can have this revelation, the awareness that you're a multi-dimensional being having simultaneous incarnations in many dimensions, many levels, many vibratory frequencies. But you're here now, and you're in the middle of this matrix. So what do? But you're not a victim. Nobody's a victim. You're here.
Correct. Absolutely.
Because
and I love that you said that because it's so important to understand that. I mean, all this information that we're sharing right now is just so people can have perspective of what's happening. They could take it or leave it. It won't even matter. But at the end of the day, I mean, the whole point of understanding how to leave the matrix is something that would benefit, anyone regardless. I mean, you're talking about cleansing the DNA, cleansing the human body, the multidimensional body, and integrating the soul, the source soul, into this physical, which is what you're talking about, that you worked on. What I saw in addition is that when you are about to leave this matrix and you go up to source, then you have one last chance to decide whether you want to come back as a light worker to assist in the awakening of others. Okay, but you got to be on it. Like, you got to be doing your work. You have to be on the mission. You can't get lost in the matrix illusion around you. You have to focus so that you don't get back into the cycle again. So, I mean, what that means is that as humans, we are so powerful, much more powerful than any of this matrix illusion, the master reptilian race, whatever, because we are soul creators. And the fact that we have to cleanse our consciousness, our history, means that we have to do regressive work, means that we have to go within, clean up all of those patterns that are holding us back from eliminating that information. And all of those patterns, all of that pain, all that trauma that we embody, and we are filtering our reality through. Because what happens is that vibration then it lowers and solidifies into physical mass, and that's where we start having illnesses and all that stuff, right? So we got to do the work. We have to undo all of those low vibrational masses which are in the body, and we have to go into what they call now is our light body, which means that the light body is light, right? It's not heavy. That means that you let go of all of those contractual agreements, all of those programs with your network, with yourself from this lifetime and other lifetimes. And how do you do that? You do regressive work, you meditate, and you reprogram that information in you, and you become a light body. And, that and what I'm talking about here is on a DNA level. You are reprogramming that information because the information that's in your blood. When you heal something from this lifetime, you're healing something from many other lifetimes because, as you know, time is linear and everything is happening now, right? It's not, everything else is just
there only is the now. And so the past and the future and the now, everything's fluid. It's not set in stone. It's fluid. So you can make changes, and it all feeds into the singularity, to the matrix, the higher level of consciousness, the morphogenic field. So that's why we're not victims. As each person does the work on themselves, it feeds into the collective. And wow. So my question is, how did you get to be? Who is Geraldine Orozco? that you're so conscious. Are you a higher dimensional being that came back into Geraldine? I mean, who are you to have this information?
Yeah, so, well, yes, I have, it seems that I have cleared a lot of my karmic lifetimes, and then I came back as a manifestation of somebody called Alcyone. It looks like my most recent lifetime was in the Pleiadians, and I had reached some level of being an elder, and my name is Alcyone. But the important thing is that my job here is to be a seeker, working for this, I worked with the Pleiadians to create those hybrids to help carry out this awakening of this collective consciousness at this time and going further into the next vibrations that we're going into. And so, all this information that came in, all my life that was, I mean, I've had a very, very human life up until about a year ago, where all of this came in.
So let me
and
back
I've been
this
working
back. I want to kind of get your basic stuff, and we went all the way to, outside the universe to source and back. So, what year were you born? And where were you born?
1984.
I know, that's a very good year. In California. Okay.
Yes.
So, 84, 94, 2004. So you're how old? 30?
I'm 33 right now. I'm 33.
33. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a magical year, too. So we're 84, you're 33 years old. Yeah. And so you woke up a year ago.
I woke up, I've been waking up. I've been doing this work for about 6 years, nonstop, and I got even heavier into it 4 years ago. 4 years ago, working, destroying all of the egoic part, all of the fear-based programming, cleaning out all of the trauma and all the belief systems that I've had inside of me.
What was the catalyst for that? What happened 4 years ago you started doing this work? What was the catalyst?
Well, in 2013, when I had my abduction, that was the catalyst. The abduction was so vivid, the one that we were first talking about here. And I was taken up to the ship with the Pleiadians, and I was shown my hybrid children, and I was appalled and terrified. And, I thought, what do you mean I have children? And, just that entire experience created such a shift in my mind in looking at the matrix and how it was. And even though I had a little understanding of this being a matrix, I didn't really comprehend what that meant. And I think it wasn't until July of 2017 when I had my first regression that I began to see all of this. And in the regression, I was taken on a map of the world and history to see all of this information, how the origins of the DNA bloodlines, which were the prominent DNA bloodlines that were being mixed, how they were, taking over the government, everything. It was shown to me almost like a film. So that's what I talk about in my presentation as well. And I mean, it just linked so many dots for me, and I had to get some real.
So who's in charge? Who's in charge? Is it like everybody that's millionaires? They're all part of this club, and people try to polarize it and say, oh, this one's better than that one, but they all are related genetically, basically. And you can't get super rich unless you're part of the club. They're all part of the club, right? And we're not.
They're all part of the club, and I love that you brought that up because they literally are connected genetically. Okay, and what I saw in this recent regression this past week is we went into the Merovingian DNA line, which apparently I do have some of that Merovingian DNA. And what they showed me was they started with Archangel Michael, and they talk about the Merovingian line coming from the essence of Jesus. But what that means is that Jesus is not what we believe him to be, the guy with the long hair, the face, the avatar of the Catholic Christian religion. That's not what that is. We're talking about an essence, a soul essence that was greater than other soul essences here that came at that time. And what happened was that from this soul essence, it's almost as if fractals of this Jesus essence came all the the great masters of our history. I was shown Tesla, Einstein. I was shown, some of these great people, Michelangelo, even some musical artists that were the great minds. And they hold this bloodline. And what happened is that the reptilian and the Pleiadian bloodline knew about that essence bloodline, and they started to mix with that in order to dilute that bloodline from there. And that's why that bloodline became one of the prominent bloodlines from which a lot of these elites originated from. Okay? So, and we're talking about information here. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a researcher who's brilliant from Canada. He's an attorney in Canada, and he basically has kind of tracked down and proven, but not, in stone, right? But that Enki was Jesus, and Enki doesn't die, and so that's why he goes in and out of different cultures, and he assumes different identifications. So he's what do you call you mentioned it before. Who was it? Oh, he was probably Tesla. They can change him and look at different ways, but he was probably Tesla. What was the one? The one
Michelangelo.
Michelangelo. He was probably Michelangelo. Yeah, he was these characters, and he just pretended to die and move on. And he travels with Ninma and Kina. And so there's all these stories of, the kids, the three kids that saw the visions. It's part of the, what was that called? Remember they saw it was like a spaceship, and they saw the visions, and they had prophecies. Come on, Karen, what was that called?
That was the visions of Fatima. Yeah. Well,
that was Mary was actually Nimba.
Mary Magdalene.
And so Mary Magdalene was Nimba, and the wedding in Canaan was, anyway, whenever he says it, I just go, of course. It's like so logical. But anyway, it's, I have it recorded. You'll have to listen to it sometimes. But Glenn Bogue, I hope to have him on a conference sometime. He's just brilliant. And so you're just, you've got an incredible mind and incredible logic, and you're remembering all this stuff, and you present it so eloquently, and I'm just absolutely blown away, and I'm so excited about the Irish jig here, because I'm part Irish.
Thanks so much, Janet. I'm excited to be here, too. Thank you for allowing me to share this information.
I'm ecstatic. Let's take a little breather. Karen, what would you like to say? Karen's always our grounding force. Karen, what do you think?
Am I? Oh, good. Well, I try to be. I try to be really practical and bring it down to the focus lens of this lifetime. I call it our human iteration. So we have these iterations of life here. And in computer science, an iteration, or in mathematics, it's you change one variable. So it's kind of like we're cycling through, and then we try the next thing similar, and the next thing, and the next thing. And each time we are learning and growing, and I know that it's when you start to raise the awareness to different octaves of this big puzzle, it's I've been through that deeply and for long stretches of time, and then I got to stop and be a human for a while, because it's like, oh, I got to be human.
Right.
I got to be a person. I literally went to about 2 or 3 years of walking between worlds, and I got sick because I wasn't grounded. So if I'm grounding, having a grounding influence, because I'm trying to be that way. I'd like to go back to first of all, the goo thing just cracks me up, because sort of my cosmology is that everything is made of God goo. It's just we're existing in the consciousness of an infinite intelligence, right? And the medium is thought. The medium is the energy of thought. And so I kind of look at different things. So first of all, there is no good, there is no bad. I spend time on the other internet, okay, the consciousness internet, the INNERNET. I have a Gnostic perspective, not as a formal Gnostic church thing, but as more like the knowing, cultivating the knowing. And once you meditate and you kind of get ready to do that, you start, exploring the different, aspects of all of this stuff. And the not evil, not good thing, or service to self or service to others, there's a lot of ways that's defined, as far as this pendulum swing between these polarities. Just a second. Take it in there. Okay. I'm going to go step into a different room because I got a busy family here.
Getting invaded.
Yeah, it's dinner time and all kinds of things happen. We had a busy day today. Okay, so this teaching, I got this amazing teaching, and I call it the owl and the owlet. And I have these little Zuni carved fetishes of an owl and a little baby owl. It's really wonderful to remind me of this teaching. And it was OWL. Owl, one who loves. So everything is one, and the one loves. The one is all love. It's universal love. And the owlet, which is the baby owl, is one who loved. So the love is loving the loved one, so to speak, experiences truth. And the one is remembering, and the one is forgetting. So sort of that first division that Source made in order to make a mirror for itself, to understand itself. And I hate to take infinite Source and make it that simplistic, but it's kind of an interesting perspective because Source takes a part of itself and forgets what it is, right? Goes out and becomes everything in the universe, right? And then sort of like a heartbeat. It goes, it's everything and it's one, and it's everything and it's one. And so it's going out and being everything, and now it's bringing that information back to itself, right? And so, like, if you say what evil is, I think, I guess if you think of an evil person, unfortunately I know a few people like that. Didn't mean to run into them, but it happened. And the main thing I could not understand, for instance, is the treatment of other people. It was like, don't they know about karma? They have forgotten who they are, where they come from, and what's going on spiritually in the world. And so basically, evil, in a sense, is just a being that has forgotten. Okay, so they're still being loved. The Source still wants them to be and be in the universe. Darn it. They still have a right to exist in a sense, but they're experiencing truth because they are going through lessons in karma and finding out the isolation of that maybe. I mean, they are learning, And so I thought that was a really interesting way to look at when we come back, or you were talking about deciding to be a light being to come back, it's like you get in the middle of that and you're like, what did I sign up for? What was I thinking? I ask myself often, right? Right. It's really kind of a trick to be the one who loves, to be the owl, because you can't do it for them, right? You cannot, you've got to let people have their path. You've got to let them walk their path with, loving and representing truth as much as you can. You've got to do your own work. You find that you can't help anybody else if you don't do your own inner work. That's got to be on that path all the time. Right. And if you aren't, you will get a consequence that will make you develop a path. It kind of happens. Some people are on a 12-step path, that sort of thing.
Right.
So, I mean, there's this kind of universal thing, and the goo part, cracked me up because it's, I said the God goo thing, but it's also the fact that this energy gets traded around. There was a science fiction writer that called it Loosh, Loosh, and it's attention energy. And I studied that a couple of years ago and ran into the work of physicist Dan Winter, who was talking about when we observe something. So that they study this. This is not just a pie-in-the-sky thing. It was studied by scientists. When we put our energy and focus on something, we give that thing energy, and it's centripetal energy. So it's the energy of cohesion. That's like the greatest definition of love is cohesion. If I love something, I'm wanting to interact with it. If I love someone, I want to interact with them. I want to have cohesion with them. And so the universal love is cohesion, so that's that drawing into the oneness, right? And then the opposite is the decohesion, the blowing out and, the Big Bang, basically. And so, these ideas are critical to understand because we're being manipulated by us not understanding this. When we have pain and we have consequences and we have, what happened? You were sitting around going, what was that? It was an opportunity to dig really deep here and to understand this, And our hierarchical pyramid control system wants to keep something of a pendulum going. So you just have those big grandfather clocks, and you pull the pendulum back, and you let go, and it's tick, tock, right, back and forth, right, left, conservative, liberal, everything's dualistic. Everything is a pendulum.
Right.
So who's holding the top of that pendulum? That's they understand everything I just said. They know that.
We are.
They use that. We are. Well, we are.
Yeah, we
right.
are.
We are, right? Probably our higher self definitely is. But
yes, we are.
It's
all in our hands.
Right. Yeah, find that out. Be that. Learn about that. Don't get caught up in the pendulum swing, Just step back from that and go.
See, that's the victim point, though. You just said find that out, be that. But anybody can do that at any moment. Become aware that they're everything. They're holding the pendulum, and they are the pendulum, and they're whatever's being manipulated by the pendulum, or controlled or delighted by the pendulum. The perceiver is the one that creates the reality, good or bad. You can have people witnessing the same situation, and you deconstruct it later, and somebody was wonderful, and the other person was horrible. So, and everything in between.
There was a rap artist who said, "Love me or hate me, still an obsession." That kind of thing.
Right.
Right, because it's still giving something energy, and if we don't like that game, if we don't like what's going on with that, go and take we pay attention. How about that? We pay it out. We give our energy to something. Go get a different thing to pay attention to. Pull your energy out of the thing, and it will fizzle away and not be there anymore, So we have a lot of power that way.
Okay, we're running, we're going into an hour and a half, so I think we want to start wrapping this up and go back to Geraldine. And what else would you like our listeners to know? We can always do more. I think what I've been doing lately is interviewing all the experiencers and the secret space program people and correlating it. And Karen was with me yesterday. We interviewed what was his name? Kevin Trimble. It's like, oh my God, all this stuff just blows your mind wide open, and you're getting a whole different perspective of existence and what's really going on. And boy, we're the normal human being is just living in like this teeny tiny world, and so we can expand it, and it's magical. It's just like Avatar on acid, right? Remember the movie, how beautiful that was in 3D? That's really what's going on. So I love what you're saying. So let me ask you, you're writing a book, and are you doing this alone? Is somebody helping you? What's the process going on here? Because this is amazing information that you have.
Thank you. No, I'm just writing it on my own based on the regressions as I go through them and channel this information, and just, putting out there everything that I have seen with my own eyes. Of course, we're actually touching kind of like a tip of the iceberg with this conversation, because there's so much more information that I received, and it's so hard to put it and talk about it in like one small, talk. There's so much to talk about. And there's also
I know. We will do more if you're willing. We will do whatever needs to happen, because I like to bring in, like I put Sherry Wild on with Ruth Ann Friend, and I Elizabeth April and Caroline Corey and Susie Hanson. We mix and match everybody. And so I'm inviting you to come and do some of this mixing, because it's really, it's chilling. But I'm sitting, I feel like I've hit the jackpot, and I'm sitting front row center seat of the greatest conversations that ever existed. And I'm like, how did I do that? Just little Janny Bandy did that? Oh, my God. But we're doing it. This
Thank
is
you,
disclosure.
Jen. Yeah, it's wonderful.
This is it.
Yeah.
It's so,
and
so delighted.
It's so exciting to talk about you with this stuff, because it's so important to get this information out, and the amazing work that you're doing with your channel, getting all this information from every angle possible, is so important to reach as many people as possible. So to be even a little part of that is just so important and incredibly, it's an honor. So thank you, Janet, for that, for allowing space.
Well, yeah, it's my honor. And what I always saw, that's why we max it like 2 hours, because people suffer from what's called retroactive inhibition. So it's like information overload, and they start unloading it. So I'm always aware, like, okay, we're gonna, and it's good. We leave a little teaser, like we're gonna come back and do some more. Because it's endless. It's really endless, but it's part of the journey. It's exciting, part of the journey.
Right.
So let's just say we're going to be wrapping this up in about 20 minutes here. What are the most important things for you to do in this segment, in this show? What do you want our people to know, to come away with?
Yeah, the most important thing for me is to just, my goal is to assist linking, understanding the link between extraterrestrials, understanding what their role is, and helping people link that to themselves and their connection to them, understanding the hybridization program, and understanding your spiritual evolution and how to start to cleanse that DNA that we talked about. Now, I am an intuitive pranic healer, and I work only with source connection, assisting in doing a regression and heavy work, going into those very deep, dark places within you, within your subconscious mind, breaking all those contracts, and basically, creating a platform for you to start to learn how to make that a daily habit, a daily hygiene, as if you brush your teeth. In that same way, you learn how to cut cords with everyone, break contracts with everyone at the end of the night, and from there, help yourself progressively lightening that load, that emotional load, that physical load that happens, and from there, helping you heal any illnesses that are manifested within the body from those blockages. So that is my main goal. So if any way I can be of service, that's I am here. I'm available to serve. Happy to serve.
Wonderful. One of the things that my fantasy is, because I love doing the depth work. I love taking somebody and journeying with them down into the dark night of their soul and all this stuff that gives them nightmares, and help them retrieve their soul, pieces of their soul that they projected out in the tree when uncle or daddy was raping them. Yeah. Some people don't like to do that level, but I go, okay, let's go. We're going down there. We're going to retrieve this and reprogram it and cathart it. And so part of it, I met Dr. Lesson in 1997, and I came into this jungle, and we've been doing deep depth work. And up here in the jungle, you can scream and you can say, all your curses to everybody that ever, that you ever perceive as having done you wrong, right? And that's everybody from human to whatever. And then we start over with breaking the contracts and creating healthy interactions with people. And just because you were born to somebody doesn't mean that you're meant to be involved with them. In fact, sometimes the meanest people are people that came out of you, or that you came out of, are sometimes the meanest people to you. It's like you have to break that.
You got it.
Yeah. So one of the things, and I'm just going to put this out here, is we would like to create these intensive retreats And we're going to find some places in the woods or the jungles or something where you can come and cathartic and scream, and you're not afraid to witness other people screaming and getting out of themselves. And Geraldine, I would love to co-create that with you and anybody else that likes to facilitate or agrees to be facilitated. And we will create a retreat for those people who are willing to go into that level of depth work. So that I don't know how it's going to come about.
Incredible.
Maybe there's a bazillionaire that will just give us all the money to do it, but somehow that is coming because it's needed.
We co-create that. Yeah, it's absolutely needed. And one of the things that I was called to do was to do this on a mass scale, because right now I work one-on-one, and that is so important. But as I'm telling you, it's so important to reach as many people as possible. So if we can do that, that would be amazing. Very, very open to doing that. So thank you for that.
Okay, we'll talk more about that in person. We're going to see each other next week, right? Or the week after next? Or is it next week?
Yes.
Yeah, it's next week.
March.
I get on the plane.
Yes. There you go, exactly. And also in March 24th, 25th, we're going to be at the UFO Con here in South San Francisco. Lorian is putting that on. It's going to be an incredible event. So are you speaking there, Janet? Are you going to be speaking with
Yes. Yes. At
perfect. Great. So then I will see you there at the UFO Con.
Yeah, CAUFOCon.com, March 23rd, 24th, 25th, Southern San Francisco. What is that hotel? I have to pull up the website. But we're also
the Holiday Inn. Yeah, it's the Holiday Inn at the South San Francisco Airport. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're going to meet at UFO Congress. You're going to UFO Congress?
Yes, exactly. So I will be there as well.
So Janet and Sasha Lesson have a booth. Did you get your booth with George Green, or did that fall through?
Yeah, I actually haven't heard from him yet, so I was waiting to hear back from him. I haven't heard yet, so let's see if he goes through. If not, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out what we do over there.
Well, I can facilitate that process because I think there's some confusion. But when we get off of this show, I'll call you and we'll make that happen, because I definitely you need a booth and so you can do your outreach program. UFO Congress, I've been going there for 10 years. It's a lovely place, and several thousand people. We call that the family reunion. The family comes in from all over the world to this UFO Congress, and they've been going, I don't know, like 30 years or something. So we will meet in person. We'll talk more about those things, so that'll be great.
Wonderful.
And definitely I will have you back on a show that you can be with my beloved Dr. Lesson. We could talk about all this stuff. Okay. So that was important. You mentioned your deep healing and you do one-on-one sessions. Do you have a website? How can people reach you?
Yes, absolutely. My website is bayareameditation.com. And I work here in the San Francisco Bay Area, but also internationally over Skype. So anytime you need to do a healing, a regression, removing of illness, blockages, just message me, and I'll be really happy and honored to work with you. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful, yes. And we do some of it ourselves, but very, very little, because I don't have enough hours in the day. I'm working on getting a conference together, which is going to be this niche. The Secret Space Program, the Experiencers, and we're going to go back to the. I started out as an Anunnaki. I worked with Zachariah Sitchin. He never got his doctorate, but we studied with him for 10 years before he passed. So that will be part of this conference, and we're looking at September 14th weekend of this year. Now, Karen, you've got a conference coming in the first part of September. What is the focus of your conference? Are you there, Karen?
It started out as a little UFO thing, and it's kind of gotten crazy and branched out. My partner and I, Brett, our family moved to Silver City, New Mexico, which is in the southwest corner of New Mexico. It's a fun little city. Used to be a mining town. Now it's kind of got a lot of artists here. We have a lot of activities that go on. Our mayor is actually going to dress up in a period clothing and do a reenactment here soon. I can't wait to see that. That's kind of fun. So that kind of gives you a flavor of the town. But we decided to do Silver City Cosmic Days. That would be the 7th, 8th, and 9th of September. Still trying to pull all the pieces together for that. And we inherited the whole panel of speakers from the Mars Anomaly Research Society. They've had 6 annual conferences. They had last year was in Mobile, Alabama. Janet, you and I were there. And we're going to be bringing that to Silver City this year. So we've got a fantastic speaker roster, you and Dr. Lesson and myself and Brett Collins Shepard from the Lunar Anomaly Research Society and Mars Anomaly Research Society. We're having one full day of the Mars topic, and then because our speakers are so talented, we opened it up for the other 2 days of the conference to be what other things that they would like to talk about that's related. I'm going to be talking about overcoming the hierarch mind. This is going to be part of deprogramming yourself to be able to kind of wrap your mind about this kind of information and how to have a third place, a place to put things where you're considering it, but you don't have to adopt it in your belief system, little tools, mind tools like that, as well as a very mind-boggling experience that I had where it's basically been revealed I definitely have a doppelganger. I have another me, another multiple that was involved in the Mars Jump Room program. And, I have multiple eyewitnesses, but 3-person eyewitnesses of this person. So that came up during Christmas, and by none other than Andrew Brishago, the time traveler, and Mars Jump Room guy actually met this other person. So I've got 2 sets of memories from forever, maybe even a few more. Now I've got the answer as to why that's so. And believe it or not, this person who is, I think, as a doctor and is involved in the secret space program, particularly the underground facilities, probably here in New Mexico, actually came to visit me and my family in a laundromat. And it was weird. And weird. She took my favorite vest, and then she blanked me out, so I wouldn't remember. So it is a funny story. It's a peculiar story. Andrew Brishaga will be interviewing me on that, and I'll be bringing that. And we have other people involved in the secret space program. We have Louis Michael Reinhardt, who is involved in with remote viewing with Courtney Brown, Farsight Institute. Oh yeah, it's and various and sundry. So it's going to be fun, and it's a quirky little town and a historical little town from the 1800s. A lot of fun. So yeah, I'm like super jazzed, excited, and scared to death. This is my first putting on of a conference. So
yay!
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
So Geraldine, is Lorian's conference your first presentation as an experiencer in March?
Yes,
or is that going to be the first time?
It's not my first time. I've done it in the MUFON group. I've done it for MUFON, but I will be talking about all of this that we talk about here, and also some new things that I have come across here with the new regression with Misha, kind of integrating all that information and kind of giving a nice, complete overview of everything that's occurring here, making it really accessible to everyone.
Isn't regression, aren't they lovely? The stuff you come up with.
Hey, can I butt in here for just a second? Can I butt in here?
Sure.
I want to do a shameless plug for Misha Johnston. She is phenomenal. And it's so helpful to people. Yes. I know several people that she's working with right now, and I met her, and talked to her at length and in person, and she's really great, and you guys should find her, Miesha Johnston with a T, and, if you guys are having memories and you're freaking out and you don't know what's going on, she's the lady to call. And if you've seen reptilians and all those kinds of, what people think are scary, then they're not scary to me, but, if she's the lady, put her on your speed dial. She's the best.
Yes, she was
great.
Wonderful to work with. Amazing. Mm-hmm.
Did you go to her, to where she lives, or did you do this on Skype? How did you do this? Where did you guys meet? Oh, in California.
Well, I spent the last week there with her in Las Vegas. I was speaking for her group in Las Vegas, and then also I did a regression with her. We kind of traded services, so I did a little session for her, and she did a session for me. So, yeah, it was just, she's so beautiful, such a beautiful, amazing person. I love her so much. So it was just wonderful working with her. And we went really deep very quickly.
Trade sessions.
Yeah.
We could trade sessions, too. It'd be great to.
Oh, I would love to. Yeah, Janet.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've done kind of that inward journey, but I've done, anyway, we didn't focus on me. I always interview everybody else, but, I don't do my story. I have to finish my book. I did one book, but I realized I was censoring things because when I wrote it, it was like, people aren't ready for that. No, they wouldn't work. And so, yeah. So I've got to do it over. And every time you do it, you get more pieces of the puzzle. So I can't wait to see how you're going to symbol this and put it down. And now you recorded all your sessions. So if you are forgetting parts, you can go over your regressions, right? You recorded them all?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. The first 2 regressions that I did were with Alba Weinman, and I highly recommend her as well. It was incredible working with her, and they're publicly available on YouTube. And I just recently posted the new regression I did with Misha as well. I'm allowing that information to be public so people can kind of see and integrate the information on their own time because, it's for everyone. It's not just for me. That information is for everyone. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I love that you're putting that out there because the more people that can recover these memories, the quicker we wake up as a species and we start moving and living in that other paradigm, which is very magical. I know there's dark forces, but ultimately it's all one continuum. And when the whole veil comes down, they'll be set free too. They're in a prison themselves. The perpetrator is in a prison with the victim. Yeah. And the perpetrator was at one point a victim. So it's like it goes round and round. You might think, I'm all love and light, but there's, it is kind of like a cycle, and that was what the source originally did, was self and apparent other. And had a part that didn't remember to blank it out. So otherwise, if you go into the movie and you know how it's going to be, the whole thing, it's kind of boring. Like, we're going to go watch that. I already know how it's going to turn out. So that's why we're here for this journey, which is so exciting because now we're coming full circle. I'll be 64 on February 6th. And when I came down here to this mission, it was pretty dark here, That's why I was just recovering
You're
from World War
Aquarius
II.
too, just like me.
I am. When's your birthday?
February 18th. So
happy
birthday.
Happy birthday. Yeah, happy birthday to the Aquarian conspiracy. Yes, we are conspiring to create a better planet for all of us. Yeah. All right, well, I think it's time we wrap this up. I've really enjoyed this episode. I'm looking forward to doing more and seeing you in person. And I want to thank everybody that's come here to this show today. We couldn't do this without you, the listeners, and thank you so much for listening. And please go over to, what was that called? BayAreaMeditation.com. Karen, what's your website? Are you there, Karen? Did you turn off your speaker?
Hi. Got to hit that.
Yeah, what's your website?
It's portalsofknowing.com, and that's a place to watch for what we're doing. It's still in development. It's going to pop on there and blow people's minds, so we're excited.
Excellent. And the main website.
Thank you.
Thank you. The main website that Dr. Lesson and I are doing, there's a couple, aquarianradio.com. And we have 7-8 years of archives of all these shows that we've been doing. And EnkiSpeaks.com, ENKISPEAKS. That's Dr. Lesson's baby, and he has been researching from the ancient aliens through to the modern, and he writes on this every single night. He writes 2 or 3 articles, puts stuff out there, He's a genius ethnographer, anthropologist, PhD, and that's his life work. And he's 77, and he's just that's what he's doing. But it's not about money. It's about raising consciousness, because we ultimately get past this monetary paradigm, which in itself is a prison. Then we will be in the next advanced civilization, out of this level zero civilization, into a kind of a Star Trekian paradigm where people get to have a lot of fun. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody.
Amazing.
Okay. With that, I'm going to call it a day, and much love and blessings, and aloha.